Today I am pumped because I get to review another sample pack from a promising recent American distillery. The last time I did this was with the Sonoma triple pack, which I was not expecting much from, and my cup overflowed with awesomeness. I was very impressed with that. So I'm hoping the same thing will happen here with Laws. Laws out in Denver, Colorado, has made a policy of doing things right, at least on paper. Full-sized new American barrels. 200 liters. They're not going for the quarters. They're doing the big ones. Heirloom grains. Sourcing from specific farms and sometimes just bottling stuff sourced from those specific farms. Lots of really cool stuff going on. They have they're not using a old school pot still. They're using a pot column setup, but that's okay. That works too. Lots of good things happening there. So I frankly do not know much about these folks. But this was a sample pack they were passing around last year. They were doing lots of Zoom tastings. I didn't do one of the Zoom tastings, but I managed to grab one of the packs. And we got ourselves a bourbon, a rye, a wheat, and a malt, a straight malt whiskey. All these marked straight, actually. So what we're going to do is taste through and see what's what. All right, let me get to pouring these. The Colorado whiskey scene, of course, is not, new. There's a long history of distilling in Colorado, and more recently, of course, we've had Stranahan's and Tin Cup, a couple of other operations out there. So, Laws kind of continuing on in that tradition. The one I'm really excited about, I have to confess, is the straight malt because. It's a category that is not abused enough in American whiskey, and I want to see more of them. This is 100% malt, and I would love to see more blends, but I'll take what I can get. All right, let's get started. I did taste these a little bit when I first bought the pack, and I honestly have no memory of what they were. It was wild night of tasting through stuff. It was really just to get air in the bottle. So I am going to be, shooting from the hip. I have no notes here. I have a piece of paper I can write scores on, but that's it. All right, we're going to go through once. Neat. I'm going to add a squirt of water, and we'll go through again, see what happens. I'm already getting delicious scents off of these, so let's go through. All right, starting off with the bourbon. This is a 4-grain bourbon. The aged, they say aged at least 2 years on here, but on the website they claim aged 3 years for this. The mash bill is 60% corn, 20% wheat, 10% rye, and 10% malted barley, which means presumably they're not using enzymes to get fermentation started. Usual their usual MO otherwise. Big old full-size barrels and heirloom grains. And how great is that? All right, let's get started on the nose. Okay, so especially on other YouTube channels, you will get candied corn as a taste note quite a lot. But, this actually smells very, very candy corn-like. There's a kind of candied, plasticky quality to this. But it's not bad. But as I nose it more, the graininess starts to come through. There's a cream of wheat quality and a kind of toasted, street corn, elote kind of quality coming through here. A lot of ground pepper, tons of ground pepper, some cinnamon, cardamom, clove, nutmeg, hints of cherry. I normally expect more cherry from bourbons, but not a whole lot here, just little hints here and there. More graininess, kind of like a frosted shredded wheat kind of thing. A little honey, like orange blossom honey, maybe an actual squirt of orange juice in there from a fresh orange. And some tea, just like straight up Earl Grey tea in there. And that's kind of what I'm getting. It smells nice. It smells very extremely spicy in a good way. It does smell, in wine circles, we will sometimes talk about wines as being unresolved. This smells a little bit unresolved. I'm mostly getting, there's the distillate here, and there's the wood here, and there isn't a lot of like tertiary notes coming out. There isn't a lot coming through in the sort of, from the process of aging. This is, starting to get actually a little bit soapy now, which I'm not sure if I like. Yeah, okay, now the soap is kind of starting to push more to the front. That's okay. Let's see how it is on the palate. Not great, but solid, shows promise. The black pepper is also dominating. There is that, the soapy note is continuing, the floral soapy thing. Much less candied, much less, candy corn on the palate. This is really dominated by the oaky characteristics. And just, yeah, pepper, the tea note, the Earl Grey tea, little squirt of orange and lemon. This is not the most balanced bourbon I have ever had, but it's reasonable. I don't know if normally I would say I would love this to be a little bit older. I'm not sure if I want more oak on this. I would love to see this further aged, in glass and in clay. Some kind of more neutral material that isn't going to pile more oak on top of this, which is already pretty aggressively oaky. There's just some piney notes now, like like the little Christmas trees you hang in the front of your car to make it smell nice. I feel like I'm chewing on that a little bit. Not a lot of corn coming through. There's a little bit of wheatedness. There's a little Weetabix and a little frosted shredded wheat coming through. Okay. Not hugely on board with this yet, but I'll give it a squirt of water, see how it develops. All right, moving on to the rye. The website has different opinions on this. Some parts I looked at said that the rye was 100% rye, which means some of it is, you have to be either using enzymes, or there's a little bit of that which is malted. But other parts of the website said it's 95% rye and 5% malted barley, which means that they're using some barley to start fermentation off. This is the San Luis Valley straight rye whiskey. All of their whiskeys are marked as straight. So this was 2 years old. On the website it says 2, and this also says, and the 2, and the straight implies 2. All right, let's get going. On the nose, a little bergamot-y, a little sort of herbaceous orange kind of thing going on. but you know, like so, like, but then like a little kind of a cardboard thing, which is not that great. So cardboard sort of you know soaked in bergamot juice. Um, there's a ton again a ton of black pepper in this. Um, some tea notes. That Earl Grey note again is back. Actually, I mean, you can definitely see the family resemblance with the bourbon. The smells, you know, 60-70% of the smells here are just smells in common with the bourbon. Um, Again, that's a little bit floral. It's not soapy yet. We'll see if that shows up. Um, Floral, kind of a slightly green, a little bit of like burned asparagus, burned flowers, burned things in general, like some burned nutshells. Um, okay. Again, you know, to use wine language again, it smells very unresolved. I'm not, although in this case, I'm not even getting a lot of oak influence, or rather, the oak influence just kind of comes across as like burned stuff and kind of, you know, herbaceous green stuff. Um, all right, and that's kind of all I'm getting. It's there's a little bit of like I don't know, fresh wood. Um, Not you know wood that was never dried out. This is you know you just chopped down a tree. That kind of smell on the palate. Ooh. Um, what the hell just happened there? Okay, we're gonna start with this. Um, so first of all, there what first struck me was a little bit like the sweetness from the oak, the vanilla, the coconut, right up front, and then it's sort of uh, like just smothered by a wave of black pepper, freshly ground black pepper. And then that in turn is kind of smothered by, yeah, the floral soapy thing that I was getting a little bit of in the bourbon. Oh. Um, oh dear. So let me let me try to get some tasting notes on the table. Um, Peppermint, the burned asparagus thing, lots of vanilla, lots of green stuff, uh, some lime in there actually, a bergamot again, so herbal orange, kiwi, kind of vegetable, but the floral thing is just what is that? It's yeah. It normally I like a little bit of flowers in my spirits, and I like a little bit of stringency in my spirits. Actually, I just nailed down what that tasting note is. It's just green wood. It's like again, you just chop down a tree and you sort of just pulled a plank of like wet fresh wood out of there, and you kind of just started chewing on it. But you're mixing that with soap and black pepper. That's kind of what most of the character of this is. Oh, this might be a difficult video. Oh God, I hope the rest are not like this. I'm a little bit worried that they are. Okay, let's give the rye a squirt of water. Come back to it. Don't lose hope. It can always open up. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I just didn't get enough air in the bottle before I started filming this. Maybe they're just a little tight. We'll see. All right, starting on the malt. This is the one I'm excited about. It is 100%. heirloom malted barley. And part of the excitement of the straight malt category in America is the opportunity to sort of blend. It has to be 50% malt, but you can blend other grains in there, and that's super exciting. I just haven't had like a really good example exploiting those possibilities yet, and I'm hoping maybe someone will do it. But this one is 100% malt. This is the Henry Road straight malt whiskey. By the way, the website does list the stats for the bonded version of this. Laws does different versions of all these whiskeys. It does not list it for this particular one, which is not marked as bonded. So it is marked as straight, so it has to be at least 2 years old. I just don't know what it is beyond that. But I'm guessing it's the same recipe, 100% malt. Okay, here we go. Definitely woody, but and definitely still dominated by pepper. But I'm not. I don't feel like I'm being attacked, at least by this. So there's. It smells like an American malt. Like it reminds me of some of the ones that I was having from Copper Fox and some of those guys from 10, 15 years ago. There's a lot of like fresh leaves and black tea in this. Lots and lots of black tea. You're getting southern sweet tea brewed on the porch in the sunlight. You're also getting some Darjeeling in there. You're getting a mix of different kinds of black teas. A little toasted coconut coming through. A little almost a pear pie thing. You have to be able to make pie out of pears. I just don't know if there's a tradition of that. But pear pie. Some clove, cinnamon. It smells a little simple. It made me a hair bit basic, but nice, fruity, woody on the palate. Okay. Weirdly enough, this has a profile similar to the rye, but you switch out some of the flavors, and I'm much happier with it. So the development is kind of the same. It starts out with this very kind of slightly confected, sweet, almost like a pear croissant filled with pear pastry kind of thing on the front. But you're like double fisting that with a bunch of black tea. Then the ground pepper, the black pepper, rolls in and kind of covers it. But instead of being swallowed up by the soap, it's really just kind of a nice, pleasant, ashy, tannic woodiness. Yeah, there's a little bit of a floral hint in there, but it's not nearly as pronounced as in the first two. A little bit of a vegetal hint, like a little snap pea kind of thing, or those little whatever the hell those peas are that you sort of squeeze out of the things. I don't know what the names are. Definitely very tea forward. Some sort of dried orange in there, which I like. Except for the fresh oak, which is really dominating this. And in some ways, this actually reminds me of Glenmorangie. I could see Glenmorangie fans kind of getting into this a little bit. Still not my favorite whiskey in the world, but we're getting there. This is progress. All right, so I'm going to put that right there. Give it a squirt of water, and we'll come back to it. Oh, I totally forgot to mention, all these are bottled at what, 47.5%, which is great. We like higher bottling strengths on our American whiskeys. All right, and we're going to finish things off with the Law's Centennial Straight Wheat Whiskey. Again, there's information on the website about the bonded version of this. Not so much on just, whatever they include in their 4-pack here. But the bonded version is made entirely from wheat, 100% wheat. I believe it's white wheat, soft white wheat. Again, heirloom, I think. Oh, nice. It's actually quite fruity. There's a kind of a strawberry nose to this, a little red fruit. Hints of like a rosé, like a rosé wine, but then it's sort of flanked by the woodiness on the outside. Yeah, the toasted coconut, the just branches and leaves, a little vanilla, and then sort of the more traditional wheaty notes. The frosted mini wheats. Slightly, it's a little bit herbaceous. There's like one sprig of mint in the background, but other than that, it's actually not throwing the sort of minty notes that I tend to expect from wheat whiskeys. Again, it's a little simple, but quite a pleasant nose. I'm not being attacked by it, so that's nice. And a little pepperiness, more white pepper, not as earthy as some of the other noses. And maybe a little, some jasmine tea or something, like a herbaceous green tea on the palate for this wheat whiskey. That's weird. So we're kind of leading on the frosted mini wheats note. Little hints of like a red fruit eau de vie kind of thing. Just little aromatic hints of that on the front end. Frosted mini wheats covered in black pepper, and then the black pepper just kind of expands to cover everything. It really takes over the palate. It's okay. More black tea. Definitely the Earl Grey is back. We're getting a little bit of that sort of black tea with bergamot kind of thing going on. A little squirt of lemon juice as well. Toasted nutshells, almond. A little baklava, too. This is okay. This is all right. Again, none of these are sort of, none of these come across as particularly balanced, which is, I know in a lot of other reviews, I like to sing praises about things that bring out outrageous flavors and pepper and, green notes and things like that. But with those others, they tend to be, kind of in balance with themselves. And a lot of these don't totally, work that out. You also feel, same paradox as some of these others, right? It feels young. It feels unresolved. But at the same time, I don't want more wood in there. I would love to see these shoved in like a terracotta jar for 10 years to see, how they develop further. They feel like they just need time and air more so than more wood. All right, but maybe I'm wrong, right? So maybe we'll go through again. Now that these have had a squirt of water added to them and a little bit more chance to open up. See if they step up and improve, and in any case, we're going to give them a score. All right, we're going to return to the Laws 4-grain straight bourbon. So the candy corn aspect is back. The soapiness seems to have receded a little bit. Still kind of there if you go hinting around for it. Earl Grey. Get black pepper again. It hasn't really developed much, honestly. What it has done is kind of, cleaned up that aggressive soapy floral note. Maybe a hair bit more of a citric nature to it now. Okay, it's okay on the palate. Actually, the water brought out a little bit more of that sort of that cardboardy thing, cardboard soaked in, orange and lemon. The tea note is still there. Tons of black pepper. And a little hint of soap in the background. It's not as overwhelming. I don't know what happened. Like when there was just a minute, just as I was into nosing and tasting it, when there's just this crazy soapiness that came out. It seems to have pulled back now, but it's still not my favorite whiskey in the world. No, this just feels... I like a lot of the flavors going on. It just feels sort of unhinged, unbalanced. It's a little bit of a mess. And it hurts to say that, right? I mean, I don't know these people. I don't know who runs Laws. I'm sure they're terrific people, and they put their heart and soul into this bourbon. And now here I am, asshole in the internet, sort of trashing it. But yeah, this is not my favorite thing in the world. It's not terrible by any means. It's just it's fighting me. This is not that fun to drink. This does have a lot more character than some unnamed craft distilled bourbon, but it still, is far from hitting the kind of marks I want. I would give this an honest low 80s, let's say. No, let's give this an 82. I'm doing nice. I'm going to give this an 82 out of 100. 82 minus, because that soapiness really kind of upset me. 82 minus out of 100 for the Laws 4-grain bourbon. All right, moving on to the rye. I'm a little terrified because this sort of traumatized me the first time I tried it. On the nose. Oh, okay. Okay, so initially I was pleased because it seems like it's kind of cleaned itself up a little bit more. I'm not getting soap on this again anymore. But the problem is it's kind of, now it's just kind of smelling a little bit generic. It just smells a little bit like, some kind of middle between the rest of these. So I'm actually getting the candy corn thing that I was getting on the bourbon is now showing up on the rye, which is a little weird. There's a little sprig of like winter green in here, or maybe like some kind of cooling herbal minty thing in the back. This doesn't really smell like a rye, honestly. The oak is coming through, a little bit more vanilla now. On the palate, oh. Ah. The floral soapy thing is still there, and the sort of green fresh wood thing is still there. And I mean the black pepper too. Oh. Oh, that's if I was complaining about the balance issues in the bourbon, like, this is a little bit further out there. Fine. Oh, you can actually see the moment when those really astringent notes start to hit, and it is not nice. The beginning is fine. It's this kind of fruity, candied, baked confectionery sort of arrival, with a little bit of vanilla in there. Very classic American whiskey, and then it just takes this hard right turn into soapy, astringent vegetal woodyville with black pepper on top. It's fine. No. No. Okay, no. I mean, the fact that this whiskey is trying, it feels like it's trying to do something, and it's just not. It's not pulling it off, man. I mean, it's a mess. It really is. I'm gonna give this. God, what am I gonna score this? I'm gonna give this. Put this in the 70s somewhere, because it has flavors, it has characteristics, but it is actually, I think you can see it on my face, it is physically painful to drink. It's so aggressive and unbalanced. I'm gonna give this 71 points out of 100, and yeah, I don't know what to do about that. It may just be because it needs more time, more oak, more something. It just needs, it needs something to push it out of this just brutal position it's currently in. It just seems fine, and 71 out of 100. Let's move on. To the malt. I think this was, in the first go through at least, this was probably my favorite of the bunch. Very tea driven, but this is the one I have hope for in pulling us out of the. Let's see if we can get one of these. That's good. One of these. Come on, save the episode, malt. Okay, with some water. I'm still getting a ton of tea. Some nutshell, leaves and twigs and stuff, mostly leaves. But the pepperiness has actually stepped forward a little bit more. It's actually become more of a chili note, a little bit of a kind of a jalapeno pepper kind of note. Some general woodiness, little cherry coming through now, which I like. Okay, let's give this a shot. Not a ton of development, but a little bit of development. I'm okay with this. On the palate. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. This is okay. Woody. You have to like your wood. Tea driven. You have to like black tea to like this. Peppery. You have to like black pepper to like this. But I mean, if you can kind of get, if you cross all those boxes, this is actually pretty good. Yeah, there's some the candy corn thing is kind of coming through now. Really more the candy pumpkin things from Halloween, which I love. I love those. And they're in here, and I'm okay with that. Kind of mingling with the tea and peppery notes. Is it, reminiscent of traditional malt? I mean, maybe, there's like that little nod towards Glenmorangie, right? There's that little hint of oranginess. The tea notes are definitely there. But really, this is kind of its own thing. And that's okay. I like this. I'm not over the moon for it, but it's okay. This is one. I have no idea what the price point on this is, but I mean, assuming, oh god, it's gonna be like $50, isn't it? I'm sure it's gonna be $50, but assuming you can get it for a good price, assuming you can get it for Glenmorangie sorts of prices, right? I think this is probably a decent little grab. I'm gonna give this 83 points out of 100. It is just entering into the territory of good. Good job. Oh, which one? Good job, Henry Road Straight Malt Whiskey. You have saved the episode. All right, let's move on to the final option. What is this? Centennial Straight Wheat Whiskey. This one I had got a little bit of like red fruit, little strawberry on the nose, and it's still there. Maybe a little bit more black pepper, but otherwise this smells exactly the same as when I nosed it before. Yeah, that's all I got. Maybe a little bit more peppery, otherwise exactly the same. It's fine. So it isn't soapy. It feels a little bit more like it's got itself in balance than some of these others, but it's a hair bit, dull. There's a little bit of a sort of cooling herbaceous thing going on there, which I like. But otherwise, it's just kind of, wood and, frosted mini wheats. Some tea. Little floral hints, some citrusy stuff. That candy corn note. It's okay. I'm having trouble thinking of more to say about this. It just sort of tastes like, if you were to sort of take some of the qualities from the rest of these and kind of strip away the idiosyncrasies, it feels like you would get the wheat whiskey. This feels like kind of just, slightly generic Laws whiskey. But that being said, because it doesn't have serious problems, it's probably my second favorite in this lineup. I'm gonna give it 82 points out of 100. 82. Let's see if I want to change anything. It's kind of a difficult video today. I had higher hopes and they were not totally met. Okay, bourbon. Yeah, a little astringent, quite astringent on the finish. You know, no, bourbon gets an 81. Rye. Fine, it's fine. No, I'm not changing my score on that. One of the most difficult whiskeys or spirits in general I've had on the show in a while. I do not recommend you buy this. And that breaks my heart to say, right? Because, you know, someone's heart is in this, and it is not my thing at all. It is, as you know, as distant from my thing as you can possibly get, and still have it be like, have character. Like if it was vodka, it would be less my thing. But, you know, you see what I'm getting at? And the malt. Solid, good. I like this. And the wheat whiskey. A little basic, a little more basic, but still, you know, solid-ish. Yeah, so the only score I'm going to change is bump the bourbon down to 81. The rest are going to stay the same. So it's 81 for the bourbon, 71 points for the San Luis rye, which is the biggest red flag I've thrown up on anything for a long time. I do not recommend this rye. 83 points for the malt and 82 for the wheat. So yeah, and I don't think you can even buy like this version of the malt whiskey outside of this little pack. So you can buy the bottled one, but not this. So this making this video kind of probably useless. Sorry. Yeah. I don't know what to say. This is pretty brutal. This is not how I was hoping this episode would go, but there it is. There we are. I hope you got something out of this 42-minute long train wreck that you just witnessed. Thanks for watching. Hope some of this was helpful in some way or other, and cheers.